Okay, Stan, go.
Welcome in to Pressbox Live. I'm Stan the Fan Charles of Pressbox and PressboxOnline.com. This is our usual Monday time. We're a little bit earlier than usual, so I guess it's not our usual time. But one thing that's usual about these shows where Ross and Stan the Fan are on is that they're brought to you by the Costas Inn. The Costas Inn over at 4100 North Point Boulevard. Everybody in Baltimore knows that they're the preeminent place to go for your steamed crabs, and they do a knockout job with that. But whether it's your steamed crabs, your crab cakes, steak, soup, salads, any of the dishes, the the ribs are great there at the Costas Inn. Whether you want to eat inside the restaurant or you'd like to eat home, Pressbox and Costas Inn have teamed up to tell you that there's no place better in town than the Costas Inn, 4100 North Point Boulevard. Again, they've stepped up their takeout or carry out or curbside, whatever you want to call it. You go to costasinn.com, you order your food, you can pay for it online and just pick it up. No muss, no fuss. And trust me, they pack it all neatly. So when you get it home, grandma's steak sub doesn't have the crab soup that you wanted all over it. The Costas Inn, they do a great job. Please tell them Stan the Fan sent you. Ross Grimsley is with me as always. We're doing this show today a little bit earlier, but the main difference is we don't have a guest. We thought we'd kick around some of the key topics in baseball that are going on. And Ross, while we'll talk a little bit about the Orioles, we'll talk a little bit about the draft, we'll talk about the playoff chances of teams, the Juan Soto possibility of a trade, imminent, it appears. But I thought we'd start with yesterday's Hall of Fame induction. And actually, they did something different this year. They actually did the writer, which is our friend Tim Kurkjian, on Saturday. And boy, they gave him props last night while I was watching the San Diego Mets game. They really did him proud. They showed parts of his speech, and they spoke glowingly of Tim Kurkjian.
He's a special guy, Stan. As you know, we've had him on the show several times. He's been a friend for a long time. I've known him, as you have, when he worked here in Baltimore, and so deserving. I mean, I don't know a person. I've never heard anyone have a
bad word
about this guy. I mean, even we were playing basketball out at Ripken's house. Never had a bad, no one said nothing bad at all. I mean, just a super guy. He treats everybody fairly. He's just so special, and I love him dearly, and he's so deserving of this.
Maybe you can look into getting him for next week. Maybe he'll want to bask in the glow of this a little while longer. I thought one of the things he said, and I did not see his whole speech. I taped the show, which was about 6 hours. So I'm hoping his thing will be, even though it was a day earlier. But one of the things he said that really touched me, he said, "It was a privilege when I started covering baseball 40 years ago, and it's still a privilege today." And then he said that baseball is the best game. It's got the best people, and it's just a beautiful game. But I thought the privilege idea, that he's privileged to be one of the people that covers the game, is kind of an important message.
Oh, big time. I mean, Stan, you listen to him. I mean, he brings such, energy and excitement to the game, just talking about it. And anytime you get around him, he's so passionate about it and about what's going on in the game, around the game with the players. And he's just, he brings us something special to it every time. That's why I know I love to have him on the show, and just love to be around and talk to him, because he's got a lot of information and a lot of positive things to say. And there's a lot of negative things that go on now.
But he says it, he puts it out there in a constructive form.
Yes.
He's just not a basher.
No. No, I wish I could do that. I can't.
I wish I could have done that at certain points in my career too.
Yeah.
Hey,
really.
let's start with the preeminent induction, which was Big Poppy, David Ortiz.
Right,
Ross, let me ask you a question. You saw him for a number of years. You never pitched against him,
right.
but if you had pitched against him, was there a way to get him out? I think he's very similar to Oliva in that way, that there's no real easy way to get this guy out.
But he had some power too. What he hit, 550 home runs or so. So you make a mistake with him, and he's going to take you deep. But how to pitch to him? I mean, you just hope you throw it where he's not looking. Because he can go oppo in a heartbeat and pull it in a heartbeat. But he's a guy that is really he comes to the plate. You had a problem. There's men on base. Look out. But you had to make good pitches to him, and then especially with guys in scoring position, I'm not really going to pitch to him unless I'm a pitcher that has success against him. But he's a guy that comes up with a big hit, big home run, and he'll do whatever he can to win. And he's another guy well deserving of the Hall of Fame. And he hit almost 500 in 3 World Series.
I know his World Series record.
He's done really well. Yeah,
incredible. I heard for the first time. I didn't know how intimately Pedro Martinez was in bringing him to Boston. Pedro Martinez related a story where David Ortiz called him and said, "I'm just let go by the Twins. I'm released by Minnesota," and Pedro Martinez goes, "That's fantastic." And he goes, "What's fantastic about me being released?" He goes, "Because I can bring you to Boston."
Right.
And Pedro Martinez went to bat for him, that we got to sign this guy.
Yeah.
And they did. And the rest is kind of history. There's a lot of players over the past 25 years that got painted with the steroid or, performance enhancing paintbrush. He never failed a drug test, but I think he was mentioned in the Dowd report, but he was able to, I guess, because his personality was so winning and that he performed so well all the time.
Right.
He was able to kind of skate that, and nobody really ever made a big deal, while we know Palmeiro, who only circumstantially got involved with it late.
Yeah, there's 2 different guys right there, but
very different guys. Yeah. But their performance wasn't that crazily apart from one another.
The thing with Palmeiro, Stan, that there's some other circumstances that are go along with that.
I know all about Mr. Palmeiro.
Really. So that's changes the story a little bit. But
let's leave it at say he's not the greatest teammate in the world.
Yeah, right.
Okay. 2 of my favorite people in this game really are Tony Oliva and Jim Cott.
Right.
They're both 83 years old. You talk about persevering, and I know it's not their perseverance, but they never said a bad word about the Hall of Fame, never said a bad word about the game. And I think these are 2 guys, especially in the case of Oliva, that I really think should have been in a long time ago.
Yeah. Here's a guy, I played against both of them. Oliva, he'd walk around and you would almost cringe watching him walk around because of his knees.
The last 7 or 8 years of his career.
Same with Willie McCovey. I mean, these guys, if they hadn't been hurt, and maybe with the medicine the way it is now, could have been a beneficial thing to them and prolong their careers. But 2 guys. Oliva was he led the league in hitting 3 times, I think. And
3-time American League batting.
And if he was healthy, who knows what he could have done. And but he's a guy that, and we were talking about this earlier, a lot of guys that you have on a team, you don't know what they bring to that team on the field, off the field, to the other players. They're very special guys that really makes your organization, your team much better, because they're professional players and they know how to play the game and they know how to play it the correct way. Both of those guys. And Oliva relates to Latin minority players, Jim Cott, everyone, But there's two guys right there that are very well deserving. They busted Jim Cott, 25 years, amazing. And I was telling you the story. In 1978, when I was a free agent, I went to Montreal, and I remember watching Jim Cott pitch, and he started that. And the reason that you do it is you keep the hitters off balance, you work quick. Why pitchers don't work quicker, I'll never know, because it's something that it will benefit them and keep
And
the
it
hitters.
benefits your fielders, keeps your fielders on.
Oh, they're ready to go. They better be ready to go.
Yeah.
But I took what he did and I tried it. I tried it in spring training with Montreal. It was my first year with Montreal, and I won 20 games doing it. So, I mean, it's not the easiest thing to do.
It's a mindset, isn't
well,
it? Working that fast.
We're not overpowering, so you got to do something to make it look better than it is. And you work quick and you throw and nothing comes out. And then the idea is you got to keep changing speeds. And that was I told Cott one time that I did that, and it's not hard. It's not easy to do. I mean, you're working quick all the time. You don't give, as soon as an umpire's hand goes down, the ball's on the way to the catcher. And Gary Carter, God rest his soul, he didn't even put signs down for me. He just throw it, I'll catch it. And he did, but that's what we worked so fast that was how that worked.
The interesting thing when somebody, especially that doesn't have a fastball, I think their tempo can get the hitter even more over anxious because he's constantly looking up and there's a ball.
Really?
Yeah.
Then not only was Cott a good, he was an outstanding fielder.
A Gold Glove fielder. Yeah.
He's an overall really good athlete, and fielding his position, holding runners. He did everything. And like again, here's a guy that was a bonus. He won 190 games with Minnesota in the 15 years, almost 200 games with them, And Minnesota had some good players, but they just didn't win a lot. They didn't.
They had great smiles on their faces yesterday. Well deserved.
Oh yeah.
Two other guys that weren't alive to see it were Gil Hodges, the longtime Brooklyn Dodger, and Minnie Minoso, who was the first Latin player in the major leagues. Both tremendous players in their own right.
Yeah, I was when
you were telling me your dad played with Minnie Minoso.
My dad played with him, and I was hoping that I would get a chance to pitch to him in 1976 when he came back. I think he played against the Angels for a series or two, something like that. But my dad played with him in 1951 when he went to the big leagues. My dad was in the big leagues for I think a few months, and Minoso was with that team, so I had known that. And he had told me about it. I was 1 year old then, so I didn't know much about that.
Well, Minoso, I remember, was just a really exciting ball player.
Yeah.
And I remember he ran face. He played his last team that he really played for in any meaningful way, aside from coming back 10 years after he retired, was the St. Louis Cardinals, and he ran into the wall at the old Busch Stadium, and I think it was a brick wall out there, and he ran into it and got hurt pretty bad. But he had a wonderful career. Probably didn't get to the big leagues until he was close to 29 or 30 years old.
Nobody knows how old he was.
Yeah.
That was the thing. He could have been, who knows? He could have been 10 years younger or older.
Now, did you know many people that knew Hodges and had talked about him?
No, I never heard a whole lot. I mean, when you first get to the big leagues, Stan, you're just so thrilled and in awe of everything.
Yeah.
And listening, I didn't hear a whole lot of, obviously with the Reds. I was more, into what was going on there and trying to learn how to play in the big leagues, from Hall of Fame, future Hall of Fame guys, Rose, Bench, Perez, Joe Morgan, those type of guys.
No, do you know much about Bud Fowler and the great Buck O'Neill?
Just I watched Dave Winfield talk about Fowler, and I thought that was fantastic. It was really neat to hear that. And some of these guys that you didn't know because they were never talked about very much. Buck O'Neill, you knew a little bit about him, but here's guys that supposedly they were outstanding players and very deserving to be in the Hall of Fame.
I don't know what this quite means. I looked up Bud Fowler and it says he was the first Black professional player. Obviously, he didn't beat Jackie Robinson to the major leagues. So I'm wondering if he was like the earliest player on record as being with the Negro Leagues.
Yeah,
I don't know what it means.
I don't know. Yeah,
or maybe it meant he was a minor league player. I'll have to read up on it.
Yeah.
But congratulations to one and all, Tim Kirchin, Buck O'Neill, Bud Fowler, Gil Hodges, Minnie Minoso, Tony Oliva, Jim Cott, and David Ortiz. I want to turn to the Orioles. Since the last time we talked, the Orioles had a 10-game winning streak.
Yeah.
Doing something that was pretty shocking to all of us. But it's got to change a little bit of the mindset as we get into the trade deadline. It doesn't seem as quite as likely that we're going to be that active trading off pieces right now. Ross?
You wouldn't think so. I mean, you're going to get more young players. You know, that's what's going to happen if you do that.
Yeah.
And why would you do it? I mean, there's a chance the Orioles can qualify for a playoff.
We're 5 games now. We're five games out of the last wild card spot.
Yeah, I mean, there's very possible if the pitching continues, the bullpen especially, if it continues and they don't, the starters are going to have to give some length in the game to save the pen if they want to go down and get into this thing. But I mean, things are starting to fall and people are getting excited, and the players that the fans are excited, the players get excited, the players expect to go out and win, and they start believing that they can actually win, which that hadn't been the feeling on that club for the last many years.
Yeah, since the beginning of 2018, and that was quickly evaporated in Buck's last season.
Right.
You know, but it really, you know, in 2017 they got off at 22-10, and from that point till the end of 18, it was like a 330 winning percentage or something like that.
It was terrible.
Just awful.
Yeah.
Awful 2 seasons.
It wasn't fun to watch either.
No, it wasn't.
No.
So Ross, you know, one of the things we keep talking about is how are they going to get pitching? And then suddenly, right in front of our eyes, 2 guys in particular, and Dean Kramer and Spencer Watkins, I mean, they've pitched, Kramer's come back to earth the last couple of starts.
Yeah.
But Watkins, while I don't see him as a long-term solution, suddenly if you have Kramer and Watkins, you pencil in possibly DL Hall. They've got Matt Harvey, who's at AAA, pitching very well right now. They've got Tyler Wells, and next year they've got Grayson Rodriguez. I know you can't get complacent when this is the best you are, is you're right at 500, but is there really room to trade Mancini for pieces? What pieces?
Well,
I mean, I guess they could get a better second baseman than they have now, but you'd like to think that Jordan Westberg is that guy.
Very possible, you know, but you're going to see, I really think if they do the Houston Astro blueprint, what they're going to do, they're going to trade.
They're going to start beating on trash cans pretty soon.
Yeah. They're going to trade, young players for either free agent. I mean, they got some money. Don't let anybody kid you. They got some money to spend for free agent players, and with the bigger park and the ball not flying out, and pitchers are going to, consider, hey, the Orioles, they got a pretty good nucleus here. Right. They're playing pretty well. They got a young team. That was when I was a free agent, when I was with the Orioles, I was a free agent. I went to Montreal because they had a young team. Dawson, Cromartie, Alice Valentine, Larry Parrish, Carter. They had some young guys. Tony Perez was there, not a young guy, but they had the nucleus of a team, and that's what the Orioles are doing. So they go out and get some free agents, make some trades to get pitching. That's exactly what they're going to do. And
Yep.
you got to get some quality guys. You get some quality starters that can give you some innings. That bullpen will go all the way to the top if guys stay healthy and they continue to pitch and throw strikes and get ahead of hitters like they're doing.
Well, the rumors were all along that Trey was going to get dealt, and Trey for the second straight year is going into a bit of a funk.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
last year he was really very good until about July 7th or 8th. This year, this has now been about 3 weeks or 3.5 weeks that he has not hit well at all. I think he's hitting about 220 during that time period. If you're interested, if you're the Mets or you're the Milwaukee Brewers and you've been saying, hey, we're interested in Trey Mancini, does a 3-week stretch like that bother you?
Well, I don't know why I would trade him anyway. Number one, you're going to go. What are you going to get? You're going to get more young players that are several years away.
Right.
And I mean, the time is coming when you want to win, and you want to win quickly. And
Right.
you trading Trey, who's a good player, a good guy in the clubhouse, a good guy
And he's
around.
beloved by the fans.
Well, exactly right. So why do you want to? I mean, the fans are starting to get interested. They're starting to get excited. So you're going to trade this guy for more young people.
So,
But why?
so here's the question.
Now you're going to piss off everybody,
do you reverse course? And now, again, I've never had Trey as a guy who thinks he's going to get a 7-year, $175 million contract. I think a 3 to 4 year contract in the $45 to $60 million range, you could probably tie up Trey Mancini. And I think you could do a lot worse than having him here as kind of the leader of the club the next 4 years.
Well, the thing is with him, where are you going to play him? I mean, that's a problem because
he's a DH.
Exactly. He's a DH. And if he's struggling with the bat, I mean, I'm just not going to trade him to trade him. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do, obviously, but I'm just not going to trade for several reasons that we just mentioned. The fan base loves him. He's a quality guy, and the fans are got to have a new attitude. So why piss them off? Trade one of your guys that is loved by the town and the fans. Why trade him for more young guys? You got a crap load of young guys, and just keep getting the draft.
They don't. They don't have a crap load of good, solid pitching, though.
No,
in the face of it,
exactly, and that just shows you that. And neither did Houston, and they went out and they traded and they signed free agents.
They got Verlander and traded for Garrett Cole,
and that's exactly what they'll probably do here with the O's.
If you were the general manager of the Orioles and you know some smart baseball people, Jorge Lopez and Dylan Tate, do they have much value out in the market? And again, you're still talking about getting younger players for them. They're both controllable and cheap right now.
Exactly. Really. But here's guys that have come around. They're throwing strikes. They throw with some velocity. You got a bunch of guys here. So, I mean, pitching, I think everywhere. Pitching everywhere is very, important to a lot of these teams that really need it. But again, you're going to trade these guys and you're going to get younger players. You have a chance. You have a chance to go possibly as a wild card team,
right? And
who knows what could happen. I mean, the bullpen keeps going like they're going. Everybody stays healthy. I'm going, why not, stand pat and shoot for the moon? What the heck?
Ross, I was looking at DL Hall's numbers. I don't know if you've taken a close look at them. He's made 17 starts at AAA, and he's got like 67 innings. That's like less than 4 innings a start. So here's the issue with him. His ERA is 3.3 or something like that. It's respectable. It's not as dominant as we think he is.
Yeah.
And his whip is like 1.25. And I look up in 67 innings, he's only given up 48 hits, but he's walked 35, 37 guys. That's why his whip is what it is. And that's why his ERA is what it is. Doesn't That's the thing that screams out to me, relief pitcher. And by relief pitcher, I mean like a Josh Hader or like an
Oh,
Andrew
yeah.
Miller. Doesn't it scream out at you by the amount of innings and 17 starts? His pitch count must be off the charts in those short starts.
Well, I mean, you at the minor league level, you train these guys to do this. And a lot of times that happened, and then you bring them to the big leagues and you do something different, they end up getting hurt. So this is obviously a plan that they have. Hopefully they're smart enough to not go, you're going to pitch 4 innings and you go to the big leagues, you're going to pitch 7. No, that's ridiculous. So maybe in the long run, they got him penciled in as a bullpen guy. Or are you going to do what most teams are doing? 4 innings for your starter and you're out. I mean, if that's the case, that's
but that might not be his greatest value. His greatest value might be coming in after a Spencer Watkins or Dean Kramer pitched 4 or 5 innings, and then he's lights out for 2 innings because you're telling him you just need to get 6 guys out.
Right,
and guys have never seen
you're not going to do that for another 4 days.
I'd have him pitching 3. I'd have him trying to impact 3 or 4 games a week rather than 1 game a week.
Exactly. So why don't you train him for that? If that's what's going to happen, he's spending all this time doing this. I mean, making the transition to going from pitching once a week or twice a week to 3 or 4 times a week, that's a whole new ball game now. And a lot of guys, they're going to try to do a lot of the same things they do when they do that once or twice a week that they do, 3 or 4 times, and they can't do it because you know what I mean? You start doing things like that, and now you're going to look, there's going to be some issues, arm issues.
Again, the key number I'm looking at is 17 starts, 67 innings.
Oh, yeah.
He's not a trained starter because that's not what you're looking at. You're looking at 17 starts. That should be 110 innings.
Well, one of the things now, people are so they figure the best thing to do is rest and not pitch. Right. And when you do pitch, just pitch very few. Well, look at the injuries in the in baseball. Look at the injuries. I mean, there's a reason for it. I mean, you never saw this years ago, eras ago, decades ago. As much as it is now, you got the strongest, fastest, quickest, most well-trained, well-nourished, well-rested, most hurt. I mean, I don't understand that. I just don't get it.
Talk to me about this one aspect of it. I've been preaching this since the days of Arthur Rhodes coming up. There are certain pitchers that they're a nervous wreck in between starts, but then if they get put in the bullpen where they have to be a little on edge, they could pitch any night. They're not worried about what they're doing in their next start. Suddenly they're in the here and now.
Right.
And I think for people like Jorge Lopez, Arthur Rhodes, Keegan Aiken, they clearly weren't getting better because of the work on the side in between starts. Their best thing is being in the game that night, mindset,
You find that out by talking to the guys and they have to be honest with you. You have to be honest with them. And you see that, you figure it out. They have psychologists and stuff now, all sorts of things that can tell you about a guy and what he is, how he learns. He's a visual learner. He's a vocal learner, whatever, and you have all this information. That's what's good about the information now. It'll tell you about how guys are able to learn certain things, how they go about doing it. And that is really, I think, is really important, more so than the analytics. This tells you about the guy and how to get to him and through to him about certain things.
Remember Matt Holliday, Jackson Holliday's dad?
Yep.
Did you ever pitch to him?
No.
But yeah, I doubt it. Chris
No.
Ross. It was a little bit of a shocker. We never heard Jackson Holliday attached to the Orioles. We were hearing Drew Jones, and then we were hearing about 2 guys would have been under slot, which were Cam Collier, who went to your team, the old team, the Reds, and the other guy was this Tremar Johnson, who ended up going to the Pirates. I love the pick of Jackson Holiday.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's obviously a quality kid, and he's got one of the big things is he's a pedigree. He's got a background in the game. He's been around it.
Yep.
That means a lot. And it seems to be I don't know personally enough about him, but it sounds like he's really has an idea for a high school kid.
Yep.
So I mean, and I'm sure his dad has talked to him about stuff and how to play the game, how to play it the correct way, how to act. And there's a lot of things that that he knows. So
it's fascinating. I heard both Mike Elias and other baseball experts on the draft were saying that a year ago he was sort of borderline late first. They didn't say early second, but you could have seen that. But he and his dad and maybe his uncle, who's the head coach at Oklahoma State, they devised a plan of how to get his game really up to the optimum it could be at that time. And supposedly he just opened eyes that his game was doing everything much at a much higher level.
Yeah. Well, for a high school kid, that's it's amazing. It really means a lot, Stan, to have a dad that played in the major leagues, that's been around, and it means a lot because it gives you an advantage on a lot of other kids that don't have that. And now they might have some coaches, but they don't have coaches that played in the big leagues. That obviously were quality players and have an idea. I know it is my father and a lot of guys that their dads were players. It made a big difference because you knew a little bit more about the game than somebody that didn't have those, and you were around the professional level more so than anybody that obviously didn't have a dad. We were on the field. I was a bat boy. I did a lot of little things, and I was in the clubhouse and saw how things were done and listened and kept your pie hole shut. That's what you had. And that's a lot of stuff. They don't keep it shut now, but it is what it is.
Before we sign off tonight, by the way, the Birds are home against Tampa for these 4 games this week. It's now, as we're talking to you, it's Monday, the 25th of July. They're home these 3 nights, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then 12:35 on Thursday. I want to talk to you about Juan Soto. And his inability to get that contract worked out with the Nationals. My immediate visceral response was, what a jerk turning down $440 million. But you know what? I have my problems with Scott Boras, his agent. But Boras really laid it out, and I think perfectly. He said, first of all, we think the average annual is underneath what he deserves, which I don't think you can argue with. I mean, I think given today, he's a $35 to $40 million player. So he's cutting himself $150 million short on that. So that's number one. Number two, the fact that the Nationals are on the market to be sold, I don't think it's wrong for Soto to kind of want to have a better sense of who he's going to work for 15 years. So he's betting on himself, and if he gets hurt, then we'll all say he's a jackass. But you know what? I think he's got every right to do exactly what he's doing. The latest news on CBS website about an hour ago is that the Cardinals have moved in as the potential favorite to land him.
That was one of the things I didn't get a chance to tell you, but that was one of the people that I thought, one of the teams that I thought would go after him. And that's something that I didn't hear anybody, but I'm trying to think where I had heard that from, but that was somebody that I thought. As far as, like I said, he's betting on himself. He probably wants to go somewhere where he can win.
Yep.
And it doesn't look
and knows that there's a history of winning.
Exactly.
He played in a Washington situation that was good for 2 or 3 years,
right.
got very bad right now. And the player has a right to decide that
Yeah.
he'd like to know who the owner is.
Well, you're going through a transition period with the team, and the
Right.
team is. I mean, they're doing things, and they're obviously getting rid of a lot of players, and that's what I think we had. I forget who we had on a while back, and and I made the comment. Do you think they'll trade Soto?
Yeah.
You know, no way they'll trade him.
Right. Well, the
No.
general manager as recently as about 5 weeks ago said there's no way we're trading Soto.
Right.
But suddenly it looks like
Well,
they're trading Soto.
yeah.
And part of it, I'm not a huge Mike Rizzo fan, but that contract that he gave Patrick Corbin is just it's a nightmare. And so much so that I think he'd love to move him out of the way, and he'll take a little less for Soto. He's not giving them, but instead of 5 players, you might get 3 real good ones.
Yeah.
One that's got a couple of years to come, and get that contract off the books so he can look at the next owners and say,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
hey, I won a World Series, and no, I don't have any money on the books now.
Right.
I mean, just terrible contract.
Oh, yeah.
Ross, next week we'll be back on our usual time on Monday you know what? We're not going to be back next Monday. I've got a barbecue at Mike Loxley's house. So I got to talk to you about that. Maybe we'll go to Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I will talk to you off the air in the next couple of days. All right.
Gotcha, buddy.
Anything else you wanted to get off your chest this week?
Oh, I think we covered some of the main things that we want to talk about. Yeah, it's there'll be some rule changes that they're doing at the minor league level with in Florida State League with the
they're talking now about not only that will the clock be implemented next year in Major League Baseball, the pitch clock, but they're also going to want how many times the pitcher step off the mound, you step off the rubber. So mechanical things. I think you start messing with a pitcher's head. The way they pitch.
They're just doing too much. And now there was talk about the outfielders can only play a certain depth.
I hadn't heard that.
Oh yeah. Every 10 feet that they play in or back results in more hits or whatever. Right. So you have to play a certain depth. Oh, they're getting this is turning into a video game as we speak.
Yeah, it really is.
And you know what? And the other thing, you can't totally blame the commissioner. There's other people involved in this, which are, and I think it's some baseball people in that commissioner's office that are coming up with this malarkey. So I don't know, man. I stand. It's every day it's something new. So,
by the way, do you have on demand on your TVs down there in Florida?
Yes. Yeah.
You really ought to take a look. I'd be curious what you think of The Captain, the Derek Jeter documentary. 2 of them have aired. 2 episodes have aired.
Yeah.
It's very, very entertaining.
I saw a little bit of it. Well, I'm involved in Ted Lasso right now.
Great show. Great show.
Unbelievable. I've been up till 3:00 2 nights in a row, and I've watched. I'm in the middle of the 2nd season.
Great ensemble cast.
I love it.
Absolutely fantastic. Very fantastic. I'll give you one to miss. I watched a new movie the other night that came on Netflix, The Gray Man, with Ryan Gosling.
Yes.
Absolutely putrid.
Okay. All right.
Stay away from it.
Have you seen Top Gun?
No, I haven't seen Top Gun.
I hadn't seen that either. That one or what? The other one? What's the other one?
I'll tell you what's really entertaining. It's been on FX. It's been on for 7 weeks. Called The Old Man with Jeff Bridges and John Lithgow. And all of a sudden, you get to the last episode, and there's going to be another season. Didn't know that. I thought it was like a one and done thing, but this thing's been hugely popular.
I'm waiting for Yellowstone.
All right, I hear you. All right, I'll talk to you in the next couple of days. We'll work out when we're doing the show next week. All right. I want to remind everybody that we are brought to you by the Costas Inn, and the Costas Inn will be bringing this show to you on Thursday at 6:00 with Coach Mike Loxley of the Maryland Terrapins will be our guest. Again, the Costas Inn, they do curbside like nobody's business. They're really preeminent now in the curbside business, whether it's the steamed crabs or anything else off their great menu. Go to costasin.com, check out the menu. You can order online, pay online, pick it up, no muss, no fuss, and everything is packed perfectly. Again, grandma's not going to have her chicken salad sandwich with the soup over it, or the ribs aren't going to have cream of crab soup over it. They're all packed great. The Costas Inn, 410-477-1975. Or Ross Grimsley, the old left-hander, good friend. We're out of here. And again, I'll see you Thursday night. And Ross and I'll be on next week. We'll let you know when. Okay. Bye, everybody.